Dandadan is one of the newest and most popular anime currently airing, easily positioning itself to fill the void soon left by other series like My Hero Academia and Demon Slayer. It's also a series that I get a fair amount of comments and questions about, many wondering if Christians should even watch it in the first place. While I did cover this in a prior video, I want to take some time to dive a little bit deeper into Dandadan and give my thoughts on it from a Christian perspective, as well as whether or not I think Christians should give it a watch. The premise of Dandadan is but a simple one. Momo Ayase doesn't believe in aliens, but knows for sure that spirits are real, and Okarun doesn't believe spirits are real, but is fully convinced that aliens are. And both are quickly proven right, and the wacky hijinks ensue from there, which leads me into the first major thing I think Dandadan handles really well, and that's this idea of spiritual warfare. This idea isn't a new one, but I think a lot of Christians overlook it these days, despite it literally being in our faces every single day. I think of Ephesians 6:12, where it says, "We do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, authorities, and cosmic powers over this present darkness, and against the spiritual forces of evil." Everyone, especially Christians, deal with spiritual warfare every single day, whether we realize it or not, and Dandadan hammers that point home consistently. Both Momo and Okarun insist that aliens and spirits aren't real, only later to have a rude awakening about how real they truly are. And not only that, but they've been unknowingly surrounded by these spirits and aliens the whole time. And most normal people in the Dandadan universe don't even recognize it and are totally oblivious. Maybe some entertain the idea of rumors and old folk tales, but your average Joe thinks there's nothing more than normality, and the only ones who see the world for what it is are those who've encountered it firsthand, like Momo, Okarun, Ira, and Gigi. And the same can be said for the real world. Most non-Christians don't know how to recognize the spiritual aspects of the world around them, but we as Christians do. We also know that there's nothing we can do in our own power. Outside of God, we have no ability to combat spiritual warfare, and Dandadan is the same way. Outside of the powers they've been gifted, Momo and the gang can't really do anything against the spirits or aliens. They'd just be as helpless as your average Joe. I've seen a couple comments mentioning how Dandadan is this demonic show and should be avoided at all costs, and honestly speaking, I can understand where that thought comes from. If you've never seen the show, but all you know is that it's about spirits and kids getting possessed by said evil spirits, then yeah, I'd say that too. Possession is a very real thing the Bible talks about, and I don't think we should be inviting that sort of thing at all, but I also don't think Dandadan falls in that category. At its core, Dandadan is a really good series, and while Okarun, Ira, and Gigi all have spirit-based powers, I think it's akin to your more normal superpower action shonen. I've never felt like Dandadan made me want to go get possessed by a demon to get cool powers, because I know that's not reality, which is another key distinction to make. I can watch Dandadan all day and think it's an amazing show, but also understand that it's fictional. If I go out and let myself get possessed by a demon, I'm probably not going to get cool running powers like Okarun. I'm probably going to suffer. Dandadan also doesn't necessarily paint these possessions in a positive light either, at least not in the case of Okarun or Gigi. The only reason Okarun still has his powers is because he needs to go find his golden balls, and the evil eye is stuck inside Gigi indefinitely. So rather than glorifying the possessing, Dandadan takes the approach of making the best out of a bad situation and using these powers for good instead of giving in to evil. Not everything is deeply evil and satanic, and there are definitely types of shows in other media that are, so keep using that discernment, don't stop doing that, but sometimes it's just entertainment, and that's how I feel about Dandadan. It's just that, a series meant to be fun and entertaining and enjoyable, but I can also understand that sometimes the Christian discernment sees a show and it just gives you the heebie-jeebies. So if that's the boat you fall into, then it's okay to skip Dandadan. I'm not here to override your personal convictions, just give my thoughts on the series as a whole. Speaking of, there are a lot of other reasons I love this series, even outside of the spiritual warfare stuff. It's a very wacky and insane premise, and rather than being afraid of that and trying to fit in, Dandadan fully leans into the insanity, much like I get the same vibes as JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, where JoJo's has these really wacky fights that are really out there, and you kind of just have to turn your brain off and go with this suspension of disbelief that for this world, that makes sense. And Dandadan is the same way, and I think that's why I like it. And I think I like it a lot more than JoJo's for a lot of other reasons, and I'll talk about a couple in a second here. But Dandadan just leans into the insanity. You could say, there's an alien, and he's a boxer, and the only reason he's fighting is so that he can get a cow to give milk to his son so he doesn't die. And in any other series, like if it was My Hero, you'd be like, that's a little weird. Why is that the premise? But then you say it's Dandadan, and they're like, oh, I see, I get it. I understand what you're talking about now. I will also say Momo and Okarun are definitely one of my favorite anime couples because the relationship is just written so very well. Their growth from chapter 1 to even where I'm at in the manga now feels so natural, and you can tell that they really do care about each other. And my favorite interaction they have is after everything goes down with Ira, and Momo thinks like, Okarun's out here like getting all crazy with Ira, and they're in the school when the Nessie's attacking, and Okarun has this really real conversation with her where he's like, I don't care if other people get things confused. I care that if you get things confused because I care about you. You're my friend. I want to clear things up. I want to communicate. And if something's bothering you, I want you to tell me. And I'm like, that right there, that's a real man right there. It's peak. What can I say? It's peak. It's good. All right. It's good. I love their relationship because they also fight for each other. He saves her and she saves him, and it means they can rely on each other, and it never feels like it's super one-sided because sometimes, especially when you're writing a romance aspect into it, it can feel like that, where it's where you get stuck in he's always saving her, and, she's just a damsel in distress, or she's always saving him, and he's kind of like this inept guy. But I think for Momo and Okarun, it's balanced very well, especially thinking about like season 2 and everything that goes on with the worm in the space. Like, he says, hey, I'm gonna get you out of here and save you so that you can go out and then come back and save me, and I'll be okay until you come back. They also just have such great chemistry because he's like the shy nerd who would never in a million years think he'd get to be friends with someone like Momo. And that's all she was looking for, was just like this nice little nerd guy who's going to love her with all his heart and treat her right and be just this incredible guy. And that's all she was looking for. Okarun is also my personal favorite character because I feel like he's such a positive picture of masculinity, because if you look at where he's at in episode 1 compared to where he's at, even going into season 2, he becomes this better version of himself. He's always trying to work out and get stronger and get better and overcome his obstacles, not just so that he can save himself and not rely on Momo, but because he wants to protect her, because he does genuinely care about her. And, there is the romantic feelings there, but she's also like the first friend he's had. And he also extends that, to Gigi, because he wants to help Gigi, and because that's his friend, and him coming out of his shell and being a little more, extroverted and able to talk to people and just becoming a better version of himself. I also relate because I was that kid in high school who was into all the weird nerdy stuff, and, everyone made fun of me, but I kept doing my nerdy thing. So I feel that with Okarun, and that's why I like him. I also love Momo because she's a very well-written female character. For everyone who says they want well-written female characters in media, Momo Ayase is an incredible example of that because she's strong and she can defend herself, but she also can acknowledge that there are times where she can't do that and needs Okarun's help. I do love all the characters, but those two are my personal favorites, and I also really love the action and how insane it gets sometimes. Like I said before, it really does lean into that wackiness, and I just think the action scenes are great. The anime, you can see I have all the manga back there, right? But the anime has really done a lot to elevate the manga, because I already thought the manga was incredible. But then seeing all the things they're doing with the colors and the direction and taking creative liberties with the animation, the anime is so incredible. And they're doing such a good job with that and really just uplifting and making that experience even better. That said, the only real cons I'd have with Dandadan aren't deal breakers for me, but I know it can turn some people off. And in the first episode of both season 1 and season 2, we see Momo getting assaulted by aliens and creepy old dudes, respectively. And this kind of turned into an issue, and everyone on Twitter was talking about it, which never take the opinion of Twitter for anything. It's a microcosm. If this is the whole world, Twitter is like that. And a lot of people made, comments about it, and they're like, well, how could we do this, and blah, 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 blah. But I think the key distinction here is that it isn't played as fan service. These are genuinely evil dudes who are doing bad things, which I know is a crazy concept for the modern day, that there are genuinely evil people who aren't redeemable, they can't be brought back. They're just evil, and they're doing evil things because they're evil. I know that's such a hard concept, but I need you to wrap your head around that. And I say it's not a deal breaker for me personally, because in the proper context, it's not that bad. Like, it's not, ooh, look how hot Momo is. She's, on the table. Isn't it exciting? It's, no, this is a terrible thing that's about to happen. Like, how is she going to get out of this? There are real stakes here. And then Momo proceeds to defend herself and get out of said situation. And especially in the case of season 2, where she's in the hot spring, like, that was really satisfying to watch her beat up those guys and, like, drop the building on them. And then even, like, to absolutely destroy the aliens in the first episode. I mean, hey, she did great. I'm not entirely sure how so many people turn this into such a big deal or controversy. It really does show that there are a lot of tourists in the anime community. Do I think Christians should watch Dandadan? Yes, mainly for all the reasons I listed before, but also because it's just a show meant to be entertaining and isn't necessarily evil in and of itself. But what do you think? Is there some big thing about Dandadan that I missed and didn't talk about, or do you agree with me? Feel free to drop your thoughts in the comments below. I love reading them all and continuing the discussion. I also want to give a massive shout out to all the channel members, because it is your support that helps me keep making videos just like this. Now, if you want to watch more videos just like this, you can check out this playlist right here, where I talk about A Christian's Guide to Anime. It's all of my videos that are like this, a Christian perspective, should Christians watch, about different anime. You can go check that out. And until the next video, I will see you around. Peace out.